Welcome to this Blender series on character creation. There's quite a lot to cover. We're going to be looking at modeling, texturing, rigging, and finally a little bit of animation. So in this first episode, we are of course going to be starting with the modeling. Alright, so first of all, I've created these two little simple reference images, which you can download from the description, and we're just going to drag those into our Blender file. And can press 5 to make sure that we're in orthographic mode. That toggles between perspective and orthographic. And now if we just press N to bring up this properties panel and go into the background images section, we can set an axis for each image. So for the front image, we'll just set that to front. And for the side image, we can set that to right. And now just pressing 3 and 1, we can change views quite nicely. I'm going to press N and T to hide those two panels. And making sure that my 3D cursor is centered, which you can do by just pressing Shift-C. I'm going to press Shift-A and add in a cube. I'm going to go into edit mode by pressing Tab and press Ctrl-R to bring up this little loop cut. And if I just left click, we can drag it around, and I'll right click to just keep it in the center. I'm going to press Z to go into wireframe mode, and just with B to box select, I'm going to left click and drag these vertices over here. Just press X and delete half. What we're going to do is mirror this on the X-axis. So go into the modifiers panel over here and just click mirror. And I'll enable clipping so that these central vertices can't be torn apart. And so at this stage we've got a nice little mirrored cube. And I'm just going to select everything with A and press G and start moving these vertices around to line up with the images. If you just select these top vertices, you can press E to just extrude it all the way up to the top of the shoulders. And now we can maybe add in another loop cut, just by the sort of base of the arms. And we can, from side view, maybe round out the back a little bit. And let's say I'm going to add one more vertical loop cut over here. Once again, just right-clicking to keep it in the center. And now if we Alt right click to select this loop over here, and Alt Shift right click to select this one, then we can press S, Y to scale it on the Y axis and just sort of round the form out a little bit. Let's extrude this down to the sort of groin area. And just even things out a bit. I'll drag this down maybe. Just something like that. Maybe that's too much. And out of this face over here, we can just press Ctrl-Tab to choose whether we want to use vertex edge or face select mode. I'm going to use face select mode to just extrude this down. And we can position this, rotate it, scale it from front and side view just to the sort of tip of the boots. And I'm going to press Ctrl-R and add a loop cut in by the knee. And maybe another one up here. See if I can't get rid of this strange bulge. Just like that. From front view, things are looking a little bit weird, so we'll just put everything in the right place. It's looking much better. Let's put maybe one extra loop cut down here, and we can use Alt S to shrink and fatten. We'll just fatten it slightly to round it out, and I'm going to Alt right click to select this edge loop over here, Control E, and go into edge slide, and we can just slide this along a little bit to smooth things out. I'll do the same with this whole loop over here, and with this one as well, and probably with this one too. You can also just go into face select mode and select these two bottom faces and press Shift Alt S and then press 1 and enter to just use the to sphere command to just round it out a little bit really. So that's looking better. Let's go ahead and create the boots. So I'm just going to scale this out a tiny bit more, and I'm going to press S, Z and 0 to scale it to 0, essentially make it flat on the Z axis. And I'm going to press X and delete these faces. I'll go into Edge mode. Remember, that's Control-Tab to change your selection mode, or you can just find them down here if you prefer. Alt-right-click to select this ring. I'm going to press E to extrude it, and just right-click to cancel the transform. And then I can press S and just extrude it, scale it out a tiny bit, just like that. And I'll extrude it straight down. That looks good. So we can just select this front face here, and now we can hold down Control and left click to just extrude it to the point that we're clicking at. And this is a little bit uneven, so I'm just going to select all of this SZ0, do the same thing for both of these. And we can continue just extruding this around the shape of the boot. Do the heel. Okay, now at this point we want to, of course, join it back up to the boot, to the top of the boot here. So let's extrude it one more time and go into vertex mode, and we'll change our snapping from increment to vertex, so that now we can select one vertex with right click and press G to move it around. And then if we hold down Control, this will enable the snapping. So you can see it just snaps to the closest vertex under the cursor. So we want to snap it to that vertex, and just like that. Now we want to get it so that these two vertices that are sort of on top of each other fuse into one. So we select everything with A, can press W and just say remove doubles, and you can see they're joined together nicely now. Alright, let's go ahead and fill this side in. So I'm going to go into Edge mode, and we just select two edges and press F to fill in a face. So we can just go around and do that. And that's definitely going to need some tweaking, but I'll do the other side first. Alright, let's see. Okay, that's a bit of a strange shape. Probably going to need to go into vertex mode and just scale these two in a bit on the x-axis. Just something like that, perhaps. And maybe I will just select this whole front part of the boot. By the way, with the box select, you can deselect vertices by middle mouse click dragging. It's pretty handy. I'm just going to scale this front part of the boot out a little bit on the x-axis. Alright, so let's work on the arms. So I'm going to press 3 to go into side view. And let's see, I'm just going to arrange these vertices in a sort of circle type shape, just around where the arm is going to be extruded. And I'll select this face and just extrude it out. Can rotate it and scale it and just basically get it just about over there. And could add in a edge loop with Control R for the elbow, and also one up here just to get the sort of transition with the shoulders. We're going to need to fix this up a little bit. Just something like that is probably okay. And we can also do the same thing that we did with the legs to smooth it a bit. Control E, edge slide. And just move it like that. Okay, that's looking better. From top view, I'm just going to go here and smooth this out. Alright, from side view, let's position this. It doesn't have to line up exactly, of course, but just more or less. And just correct it from front view now. Okay, so that's more or less in line. And we're going to extrude out a hand now. So we'll just do a very simple sort of mitten hand, since we don't want to worry too much about fingers at this stage. So we'll extrude it out, maybe scale it a bit on the y-axis. And just do another one for the fingers. Just make it a little bit thinner. Alright, just something like that. And maybe add in one more loop cut over here. And let's go into face mode and just select these 4 faces over here and press E to extrude, and we'll just right click and then press W to bring up the specials menu. You can just press smooth a bunch of times just to give us a sort of area to extrude the thumb out of. From top view, I'll extrude that. And extrude it once again. Press Shift-Alt-S, just see if that helps us round it out slightly. So let's try and attach a head to this chap. From side view, I'll just round out the shoulders a little bit. Go into vertex mode to do this. And now back in face mode, we can just select these two faces at the top and extrude them up. And from side view, maybe press SZ and 0 just to flatten them, and then R to rotate a little bit. And we're definitely going to have to add in a loop cut over here. You can just play around a bit, try and get this looking good. I'll select this. We can maybe actually just delete these two faces over here. And maybe press Shift-Alt-S on this edge loop. Now I'll undo that. That didn't really have the desired effect. But we just want to get this a little bit rounder. You can do it manually, I guess. Alright, so let's make a little head object. So I'm in object mode now. I'm going to add in a new cube object. Just drag it up to where his head will be. And scale it out a bit. And can just add a new modifier. We'll use a subdivision surface modifier. Can just, we'll leave it at 1 and apply it. And then we'll just add in one more and not apply that one. So now if we select some vertices, let's also press O to enable proportional editing, which means that we can drag this little sort of circle of influence around and do this sort of thing. And we can just quickly shape the head, just something like this. It's a very simple head. It really is basically just a blob. We don't need to worry too much about it. I'll just delete this half and add in a mirror modifier quickly. And just shape things from the front as well. We want to enable clipping so that these, you can see these have already got torn apart, but I'll fix that in a moment. Probably something like that is quite alright for this style of character. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete my mirror modifier. I'm going to apply the subsurface modifier. And now with this object selected, I'm going to shift right click to select my body. I'm going to press Ctrl J to merge them together. And now just in object mode, I'll select these vertices and just press GX. I'll turn off proportional editing, just with O again. Press GX and just drag them together. And now you can see they're properly stuck. Alright, so we want to join the neck onto the head. Go into face mode and just delete these two faces where we'll be joining it. And if I just select these edges here, let's see what happens if I press Shift-Alt-S. I can just get it into a slightly better shape for joining things up. And now we can just select the two edges and press F to fill them in. We'll just go all around the neck like this. Alright, and let's see if anything needs some smoothing out. Actually joined quite well, I think. Maybe just this one in particular needs to be smoothed. Alright, so he's looking a little bit forlorn without his hat, so let's press Shift-A to add in a circle. And now we can press F6 and just change the amount of vertices down to 8. And now we'll just drag this the circle up, scale it out a bit. And in edit mode we can just maybe I'm going to put it a little bit lower down than in the image. I think it's maybe sitting on his head a little bit high there. I'll extrude it up, and we can just extrude it in, extrude it up again, just quickly roughing out the sort of basic shape. And just add in some loops. Maybe I'll round the top a little bit. Just something like that, and can just fill this in like that. And let's see, for this bottom here, you can also scale that in just to about where the head where the head starts, and then extrude this up. Just so that if he ever takes off his hat, we can see that it's actually got an inside. Let us cut out one half of this, and if we just select this object and shift select the body, we can press Ctrl J to merge them together, and this now gets the mirror modifier from the body. And let's see, I'm just going to quickly select only the hat by hovering over one of its vertices and pressing L, and then Shift H to hide everything but the hat. And you can see when we deleted the one half, it also deleted this little interior face here. So I'm just going to select everything and press F to fill that in quickly. And I'll press Alt H to unhide everything. And he's looking much happier now. Let's see. Just add one more loop in there. Maybe we can just turn the ends up of the hat, give him a little bit of style. I might want to make these just a little bit thicker. We could make it a little bit wider even. Okay, cool. So he's looking very good. I'm just going to look around. I think his arms are looking a little bit spindly. I'm going to just add in some extra edge loops here, give him a tiny bit of muscle, and maybe another edge loop for the forearm as well. And just thinking about when we're going to be rigging this, we could also just add in some edge loops just around the areas that are going to have to bend, like the elbow and the knee also, since it will just make the deformations a little bit easier to manage. Since this is such a sort of low poly model, just something like that is quite good. Alright, so he's looking very nice. We're just going to give him a little jacket. Let's see. If we go into face mode, and we can use C to create this little selection tool. We can just move this around, just select. And let's see, just grab these two faces as well. Alright, so this is sort of the area of his jacket. So I'm going to press E to extrude and just right click and then press Alt S to scale it out a bit. Just sort of puff it up slightly. Yeah, that looks nice. And maybe we can also just go into face mode and select these faces all around the sort of bottom of the jacket. And we can just extrude these down. And press SZ and just flatten it out a little bit. Just so it sort of hangs a little bit below the line of his shirt. Yeah, that's quite nice. I'm going to bring it in slightly. So what's missing? We still need to give him some cuffs, so let's just add in a edge loop over here. And just Alt right click to select this ring here, E right click Alt S to fatten it a little bit. And then we can press Alt S again just to bring that in slightly. Yeah, that worked out okay. Just going to manually straighten it out somewhat. Okay, so the last thing really needing to be done as far as the modeling is concerned is some hair. Let's get the hat out of our way quickly. We can just select it with L, press P, and separate it by selection. And then we can just press H to hide that object. And now we'll just select the top half of the head and press Shift D to duplicate, P to separate this by selection as well. And now we can just work on this little sort of hair model we have here. Alright, so let's see if we can just extrude some hair around the back and just get this a little bit more natural looking. Curve it a bit. Something like that. And get it to follow his hairline slightly. Yeah, alright, that's okay. I'm going to apply the mirror modifier just so that we can create some variation. And I'm going to add in a couple of edge loops to work with over here. And I'm also going to just hide the back part of the hair, so you can just focus on this front here. And you can just make some nice little spikes. Just something simple like this, I guess. Alright, going to press Alt-H to unhide the rest. And now, let's just scale this out a tiny bit. And press E and Alt-S to sort of scale this in. And you can press X and delete the interior faces. And now, you can see this is all a weird color. We'll just select it all and press Ctrl-N to recalculate the normals. Let's just tidy things up just a little bit. It's just a bit messy. Something like that. This back part is still looking a little bit strange. Maybe add a loop cut in here. So let's just press Alt-H to unhide everything. The hat is not quite fitting the head now that it's got some hair on it. So I'm just going to press Alt-S to fatten the hat a little bit. Maybe scale down the brim just slightly. Alright, so let's just have a little look around. Yeah, he seems to have turned out pretty well. And I think we'll call it quits for now. Hopefully I'll see you in the next video where we'll look at texturing this guy. And yeah, thanks for watching, and I hope you've enjoyed. Cheers.